అందరికీ నమస్కారములు. Today is a good day for all of us that we are going to start a new topic, that too very interesting topic, Artha Sastram by Dr. Nagaraja garu, Karanam Nagaraja garu. He has been teaching us Mahabharatam and for all basic courses. You all know him in the basic course. He has taught us Mahabharatam, and now we will deal with the financial aspect of the Sastram through some examples. Let us start the session with reciting Vande Mataram and paying our respects to our country, and proceed further for Prarthana. Now, Chala Chittibabu garu, please.
Vande Mataram, Vande Mataram, Sujalam, Sufalam, Malayajasitalam, Sasyasyaamalam Mataram, Vande Mataram. Subrajyosna pulakitayaminim pullakusumita drumadala shobhinim suhasinim sumadhura bhashinim sukhadam varadam mataram vande mataram. Vande Mataram.
Vande Mataram. ధన్యవాదములండి Chala Chittibabu garu. Now let us proceed further and request Jayashree garu to chant Prarthana, please.
Namaste. 1 minute meditation. Then Omkaram, then Prarthana. Om Gananam Tva Ganapatigam Havamahe Kavim Kavinamupamashravastamam Jeshtarajam Brahmanam Brahmanaspata Anashrinvannotibhi Siddhasadhanam. Om Shri Mahaganadhipataye Namaha. Om Prano Devi Saraswati Vajevitvajinivati Dhinamavitryabato. Om Shri Mahasaraswatyai Namaha. Gurudeva Gati Gurumeva Bhaje Gurunaiva Sahasmi Namo Gurave. न गुरोः परमं शिशुरस्मि गुरोः मतिरस्ति गुरौ मां पाहि गुरो. ज्ञानानन्दमयं देवं निर्मलस्फटिकाकृतिम् आधारं सर्वविद्यानां हयग्रीवमुपास्महे. श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादशङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः असतो मा सद्गमय तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय मृत्योर्मा अमृतङ्गमय ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः मातृदेवो भव पितृदेवो भव आचार्यदेवो भव अतिथिदेवो भव ॐ सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः हरिः ओम्
ధన్యవాదములండి.
ధన్యవాదాలు సార్.
Thank you so much. Now, Dr. Karanam Nagaraja garu, he doesn't need any introduction for us. We know him, he has been our faculty. But just to recollect in very brief terms, Nagaraja garu has worked as an officer in government and also in private sectors for 30 years. After that, for 10 years, he has been professor in the universities. And his education qualification is outstanding. His MA in political science, history and sociology. He's also completed PhD from JNTU, Jawaharlal Nehru Technological University in management, and also his PG diploma in Vedanta from Chinmaya International Foundation and the Kovida from Samskruta Bharati, and he's got a yoga diploma from Vyas University, and he has also done a course on Gita from Oxford Hindu Studies, Oxford University. There's a great educational background and experience, and he published more than 60 articles in peer-reviewed national and international journals, and has 4 published books, and currently he is engaged in teaching Gita to children in Zoom classes and engaged in writing articles in the blog unclekada.com. His lectures on ethics in Mahabharata in English and stories from Mahabharata for children in Telugu can be viewed in his YouTube channel. With this very brief recollection of Dr. Nagaraja Rao garu, let us request him to start the seminar, please.
शुक्लांबरधरं विष्णुं शशिवर्णं चतुर्भुजं प्रसन्नवदनं ध्याये सर्वविघ्नोपशान्तये सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्. Good morning, all of you. I think this batch, as he was while introducing, he was telling that there are some people who are already there in my class in Mahabharata. Then today it is a new subject for me also, maybe a new subject for you also. The subject is not new to me in the sense that I had read it long back. I read it maybe in my MA political science when I was studying at the time. we had this Artha Shastra as a specialization. And in the public administration also, we were having this subject, Artha Shastra we were having. But now and then I was reading here and there, just to just to fresh up my own knowledge of Artha Shastra. But subsequently, many things are lost in my memory lane. And now because Veda Samskruti Samiti has given me this opportunity to read it once again, read it once again. Maybe when I was studying this subject in the MA Political Science at the time, I was reading only English translations, may not be Sanskrit text. Maybe now the opportunity has come. The opportunity has come to read original text of Kautilya's Artha Shastra. And also, of course, there are, because Kautilya's Artha Shastra, if you begin to read Kautilya's Artha Shastra, there are lot number of pages of Kautilya's Artha Shastra. Sometimes they will be confusing, too much of choice. Too many persons will be writing too many articles on Kautilya's Artha Shastra. And now I am finding certain lacunas in those translations after reading the original text. So that is the reason why even now I advocate. Maybe at the time I was advocating to read. Students also I was advocating to read that some good translations. Maybe after reading the original text, I would like to advise the people to read only the original text. The original text has much more value. And one more thing is that here and there, a lot of mistakes have been committed by some people some time back, long back. And the same translation has been seen by subsequent authors, and they copied something of that nature. So that is also there. Because of this reason, I would like to ask all the people to read the original text of Artha Sastram. So before reading Artha Shastram, there is a common perception that today I would like to discuss the overall picture of Artha Shastra. What is Artha Shastra? Who wrote that Artha Shastra? How it has come to popularity, and how it was spread to different areas. And then what is its importance? Those type of things. What is the subject matter of this Kautilya's Artha Shastra? And the importance, all these things, the background of Indian culture, civilization, and all these things. What is the importance of this subject? These type of things I will be discussing today. Before going deep into any subject matter, maybe what are the qualifications of a king? What are the qualifications of the ministers? What are the qualifications of a purohit? How he should deal with the foreign policy? How he should deal with the internal administration? These type of things will be discussed in the later part of my lectures, maybe tomorrow and subsequent days. Today, I would like to give the brief of Artha Shastra. Artha Shastra, common perception of many person is that it is dealing with Artha. Artha means, what is Artha? Artha means money. Money matters. Those type of things will be there. People will be thinking like that. But here, Artha Shastra is not written in that fashion. Artha definition is something different. Normally, Artha, Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha we will be talking. In this, we will be discussing that Artha denotes wealth. How to earn this Artham. Artham means this is money or movable or immovable properties, maintenance and all these things we will be discussing as Artha. But here, Kautilya's Artha Shastra, he himself has defined Artha Shastra in one place. That is there in some other, not in initially it is not there. Somewhere in the middle of the text it is there. Manushyanam vrittirarthaha manushyavati bhumirityarthaha tasya prithivya labha palanopayaha shastram artha shastram iti. Like that he defines. Which means that Manushyanam vrittirarthaha, Manushya's vritti is artha, it is not like that. The way of living of people is artha. This is how the Shyam Shastri is a person, of course, I will be telling about him also. He has given the translation. Manushyanam vrittihi arthaha, which means that the livelihood of human beings or the way of life of the human beings is artha. That is meaning the of artha. Artha means the way of living of the people. The way of living, the Manushyavati Bhumihi, which means that the territory containing the human resources, it is called Artha. This is how the definition is there. Manushyavati bhumihi ityartha. Tasya prithivya labha palanopaya. So in order to maintain that particular way, in order to gain certain things, techniques relating to acquiring and maintaining such territory, the techniques relating to acquiring that and also maintaining that such territory, that people, managing of that people is called Arthashastra. Here, if we see this entire perspective of this Arthashastra's definition, we come to know that it is not necessarily whatever all matters relating to the people, all matters relating to the area that is called the Janapada. The entire thing comes under the purview of Arthashastram, which means that polity, economy, society, societal administration, and all matters of the people, all this will be coming under its purview. So this is a definition of Arthashastra that is given by Kautilya himself. So which means that it will be discussing statecraft, because in order to maintain the territory, the foreign policy has to be adopted. How to deal with the Shatrus and how to deal with the enemy. Shatru means enemy and other persons. How to deal with other administrative people, internal administration, external administration, the Artha aspect, the normal Artha, what we normally think of the Artha aspect. Then it will also be discussing different areas of law, law and order. All this is will be coming under the maintenance of that particular territory, or the matters dealing with the subject matter of earning something for the population and gaining that, preserving that wealth and all these things. All these come under the purview of Arthashastra, which means that it is an inclusive subject which deal with all aspects of the people, all aspects of the territory also. This is how we need to understand Arthashastra. Arthashastra should not be understood in the way normally we used to understand. That is, Arthashastra means it is dealing with finance. It is not the subject of finance, it is also finance. Finance is also one of the subject matters of Arthashastra. This Arthashastra, the background of Arthashastra is that it was written somewhere in 321 BC to 300 BC, like the people tell. 321 to 300 BC. The country at the time, what are the political condition at the time? The political condition at the time was actually, and the description at those days, Megasthenes and all persons, they discussed in those days that the thing was that India was in a pell-mell condition. There was not a proper law and order. And also the ruling community at the time, Nanda dynasty, those people were very cruel people, atrocious people, and at the same time, the people were not having sufficient understanding with the king. The king and the people relations were not very good. And also, it was a period when the Bauddha Matam and Jaina Matam, they were very much in prominence. Because of this reason, people were docile, mainly docile, Shanti Kamukas, like that. Shanti Kamukas in the sense that they were not interested in waging wars and all these things. People were by nature, they become philosophical introspection and all these things, attracting the attention of the invaders. That was also there. So invaders could easily conquer this country because people were not as much aggressive as it is required to preserve the integrity of the state. That was the situation. To that extent it went, because it is too much of Shanti. If you begin to pronounce like that, according to Arthashastra, what will happen is that we will be inviting the Shatrus, we will be inviting the Ari. It is a very practical book. Arthashastra is a very practical book. The intention of Kautilya's Arthashastra at the time was to preserve the integrity of the state, to maintain the dignity of the state, to enhance the power of the state. These are the things, these are the objectives. So here when this was the condition, and the people, the kings and the other people were in the habit of different vyasanas. Vyasanas means the slaves for all this what is called kama, krodha, lobha, moha, mada, matsarya, these type of things. It was necessary to have a great king, a virtuous king, and also he is what we can call a benevolent king. Benevolent king at the same time a despotic king. Despotic benevolence. This is also there. Despotic benevolence. You can't say that it is an what is called. It cannot be like that. Something of that nature. Despotic benevolence. Something that they what is called. There is a technical word is there for this. Despotic benevolence means it is actually. I could not get it. Anyway, if I get it, I will be telling you. This is actually, these two things will not go together, but still it is there. The despotic benevolence means he is a despot, his authority is final. At the same time, he is also under the what is called total control of dharma. Dharma he cannot deviate dharma. Dharma he cannot deviate. This is the picture. In that way, he wanted to design the king. In order to design the king, in order to have a statecraft for the country, he wanted to write a book. That is because at the time with the invasions of Alexander and all these things also we come across in that period only. So he wanted to design the state in such fashion so that the king will be much powerful person and he can inflict any type of punishment to any type of person in the country, and this order was final. This type of king he wanted to design because a despot was needed in those days in order to maintain the integrity of the internal security of the country. This was a main assumption of this test, but because still Kautilya was also influenced by many other persons. Many other persons means earlier there are many tests dealing with this statecraft and all these things. So what are those things? Broadly, if you begin to see, we were having by the time itself, by 321 BC itself, we were having Dharma Shastras. Dharma Shastras we were having. Dharma Shastras, Vedangas and all this is particularly Kalpa, one of the Vedangas. Here Rajadharma is explained in very briefly. They have very well elaborately they explained Rajadharma. And the Dharma Sutras of Apastamba Dharma Sutra was there. Gautama Dharma Sutra was very much prevalent in those days. So these things are also a guiding factor for Kautilya's Arthashastra. He saw all these things, Kautilya's, what are the things which influenced for writing Arthashastra? Because any writer for that matter, if you want to write something, he cannot write from the void. He has to read the whatever that is there earlier period also, and also he has to study the society, and then he has to write any book for that matter. So here he has read all these things, Apastamba Dharma Sutras, Gautama Dharma Sutras, the Vedangas, Manusmriti, Yajnavalka Smriti, all these were already there by that time. And the Ramayana was there by that time. He has studied Ramayana, so the Tattvas are mentioned there. In Mahabharata, of course, we were having umpteen number of Rajadharmas, Shanti Parva, particularly Shanti Parva, Anushashanika Parva, and all those places we come across different dialogues between Bhishma and the Dharmaraja, wherein Bhishma was pronouncing the Rajaniti and Dharmaraja was inquisitively listening to all lectures of Bhishma. And those things also he has read. Viduraniti he has read. Viduraniti given to Dhritarashtra in what is called Vanaparva. We come across this one. And not Vanaparva, I think some other Parva. And he was giving this lecture. I think it is a Sabha Parva, I believe. And he was giving a lecture to Dhritarashtra, Viduraniti. That is also there. And all these aspects of Mahabharata, Sanasujatiyam was there. These type of things also he has read. Because of this reason, how do you say that this is like this means? We can see that there are certain things because in Bhagavad Gita, for that matter, which is the part and parcel of Mahabharata, and in other places also, where maybe Manusmriti and other places also, Indriya Nigrahanam is given a lot of importance. So here also, Kautilya's Arthashastra, in the very beginning, very first Adhikarana itself, he was discussing Indriya Nigrahana for king. Without Indriya Nigrahana, in Indriya Nigraham, he cannot be a king like that. So he will be giving lot of Vinayadhikaranam, like the first chapter itself is called Vinayadhikaranam, where we will be discussing a lot aspects of the training that has been imparted to king. The training has to be given to a king, and then what type of training should be there, then how the king should be molded. And once that type of person can alone become the king, not all other persons. These type of issues also he has discussed. So, all these persons, personalities, books, And all these things influenced Kautilya's Arthashastra. So he has written this statecraft, book of statecraft, in around 321 to 300 BC. He has written. Once it has been written down like that, unfortunately, what happened is that the book has been lost for generations together. It was not there subsequently. It was not preserved in that fashion. Maybe it is lost only, something of that nature. It was there, maybe in some libraries, in some places, something of that nature. It was like that only. And people were getting references of Arthashastra from different areas. So the way what is called Dandi Dashakumara Charitra, he was mentioning profusely about Kautilya's Arthashastra. Kamandaka Niti Shastra, maybe if Arthashastra was written in 300 BC, some 300 AD, something like that, Kamandaka was there, Kamandaka Niti Shastra. He was discussing about Kautilya's Arthashastra. He was giving profusely, he was quoting many portions of Kautilya's Arthashastra, something of that nature. And then we were having Kalidasa Megha Sandesham, Kalidasa Raghuvamsam. In Raghuvamsam also, the behavior of the king, how he should be, and all these things when he was writing, he was mentioning about Kautilya's Arthashastra. Then, like this, many persons were giving references of Kautilya's Arthashastra subsequently, but there was no test of Arthashastra, nowhere it was there. So this was the condition. But luckily, what happened is that the origin of Arthashastra, if you begin to see, Arthashastra, what happened suddenly is that, luckily, what happened is that one prati of Arthashastra, that is called one palm script of that Arthashastra, was there in Tanjore with some person by name Bhatta Swami. Bhatta Swami, he was one person in Bhatta Swami, he was sometime long back, he was there. That Bhatta Swami, he was having that text, he was having in his house. But because the children were not reading this book, and he was becoming old, he wanted to donate it to some library. So what happened is that somewhere in 16th or 17th century, something of that nature, he personally went from Tanjore to Mysore and he presented it into Mysore Oriental Library. Mysore Oriental Library people were having the habit of, they were having some habit. The habit is that whichever is some new book is coming inside or any book is going outside, they used to maintain the records. In that records, they actually received this book and kept it in one place. And the manuscript only that was there pending for another 200 years or 250 years, something of that nature. It was lying like that only, not to be seen by any person. So when there is one gentleman by name Rudrapatna, I think his initial is Rudrapatna Sham Shastri. This Sham Shastri belonged to Mysore. Mysore means Karnataka area. This Karnataka area, people believe that he is from Chikbalapur area, Chikbalapur district of Mysore, or maybe some other district. I am not very much sure, but he is from Karnataka. This gentleman, he is actually very good knowledge of Sanskrit. Even when he was studying in his studies itself, he excelled in all areas. And when he was studying his BA Sanskrit itself, his the greatness spread to different areas to that extent that the king himself actually presented him some presentation to him, award to him, something of that nature. Then he was made the librarian of this Oriental University, Sanskrit Oriental University. This man, this person, Sham Shastri, was in the habit of, he wanted to catalog wise, he wanted to preserve the library. And he was seeing that library aspects continuously. He was seeing every day he used to go there. Old books, he used to take it out. And he used to mention this is the book relating to this subject matter, this polity, this is the subject matter, this is Artham, this is the subject matter, this is pertaining to Kama, that is called all these aspects. That is one more type of books. So this like this, he was differentiating Vedas, Vedangas, like that he was differentiating and catalog wise he was preserving the books. Luckily he found this book, Arthashastra. He was actually having a lot of curiosity of reading the Arthashastra from the beginning, maybe when he was in still studying his BA Sanskrit. But what happened is that the book was not there. The references were there in different areas. The book was not there. So he found this text, and there is also a small tika of Ganapati Shastri, one gentleman, long back. He has written a small tika. He has written for this book, and both books he took it out. He took it out, and then he wanted to search different areas. Anything is there? Anything is there? The similar nature, because this book, the book that was available with Shyam Shastri now, is actually in a dilapidated situation, which is not very good, proper. Here and there were pages were torn, something of that nature, and the text is anyway, it is preserved, text is there, but here and there little damages were there in that text manuscript. So he wanted to see something more, something of that nature. He wanted to see many Sanskrit texts, unfathomed or undisturbed. It was lying somewhere, something of that nature. He found 2-3 copies of those books also, manuscripts. Then he started comparing all these things. Everything was same. There was no deviation. There is good manuscripts were also there, and this was also there. Initially, he got this book, Bhattaswami book he got, and subsequently other books also got. Who donated those books to Mysore Oriental Library? Nobody knows. And then he began to start compiling all these aspects. And initially, he published articles one after another in Indian antiquary, something of that nature is mentioned. There he started publishing this article, which was being read by across the world, globe as such. Maybe in that journal, he used to publish some articles relating to Kautilya's Arthashastra. When he started publishing these statecraft books with a lot of insights into different aspects of people, administration, polity, economy, and all these things. And people started seeing this book as a great book. What is this great book, and what is this book? They started encouraging, and Mysore Maharaja encouraged Shyam Shastri to write a book itself. Whatever that is there, you translate it. Then he translated it into English in 1909. From 1909, the book is available for the readers like this. This is Kautilya's Arthashastra by Shyam Shastri. This is the book. Kautilya's Arthashastra by Shyam Shastri. It is a simple book in the sense that language is very much simple. And still he has quoted many Sanskrit shlokas here and there. And then he was also mentioning that because it is a original text only, as good as original text only, even though the entire Sanskrit text Sanskrit script is not there here. It is, even though it is in English, it is he has mentioned he has only written the Sanskrit text, and he has only written this English text also. So he is an authority, and also he is a highly scholastic person. So this integrity of this book cannot be questioned. This is the original text of Kautilya's Arthashastra. So anybody who want to read this Kautilya's Arthashastra, they can straight away go to Kautilya's Arthashastra by R. Shyam Shastri, and then it can be read. His popularity went on increasing to such an extent that on one occasion, in those period only, this Mysore Maharaja, this I think Odayar, King Odayar fourth, Odayar 1, 2, 3, 4, like that it is there. The Odayar fourth, he went to Germany. When he went to Germany, and he was introduced to different places, he was giving lectures, and he was going to different areas, something of that nature. On one occasion, he went to some function wherein one of the important guests was the Vice Chancellor of German University. The Vice Chancellor of German University, the king was introduced to that Vice Chancellor of German University as a king of Mysore. He is a king of Mysore, and he is Vodayar fourth, something of that nature he was introduced. Then he curiously asked, the Vice Chancellor curiously asked, Great Maharaja, you are great, and I would like to ask you one question. Are you belonging to the same Mysore where Shyam Shastri is living, like that, he asked. How do you know Shyam Shastri? He is the person who has written that Arthashastra. I read it. It is a great book. He is a great person, great knowledgeable person. Like that, he started praising Shyam Shastri. When he started praising Shyam Shastri, the king was astonished. When he came back to India, then he invited Shyam Shastri to his royal residence, and then he profusely he actually felicitated him, stating that Mr. Shyam Shastri, when you are in Mysore, I am the king and you are my subject. And when I am in Germany and other places, you are the master, and I am known by your name and fame like that. To that extent, Sham Shastri's name also spread along with Artha Shastra. But here, why I am telling this anecdote is there is one significant reason is there. Maybe prior to 1909, the European scholars who were coming to India, they were actually, the purpose of colonialism is that in order to denigrate the civilization, destroy the civilization, create divisions in the society, and then rule the country. This was a basic subject matter of colonial period. In that period, whoever scholar comes here, India, they were telling that it is white man's burden to keep the preserving the civilization of something what is called India. India, there is no civilization, no culture. They don't know the state of artcraft. They were learning they whatever little administration they know, the little administration from the Greeks only. They were not having any knowledge of subject matter of how the country has to be run, and they are very much only they are what is called as good as slaves only, fit to be slaves only. And this type of persons we wanted to give something new, civilization, culture. So it is a white man's burden like that. They used to define whenever they wanted to do some activity in India, they used to tell that it is a white man's burden. What to do, these persons we have to civilize, like that they were telling. And they were always telling that India was not having any knowledge of this administrative aspect, even though all these Shanti Parva, Anushashanika Parva, and all these things were very much there. They were not accepting all those things because in all those things it is mentioned, but it is actually because as we know, Mahabharata is basically a moksha grantha, Dharma grantha, moksha grantha. Like Ramayana is also like that. The purpose of writing those books is something different. But here there is no book specifically or exclusively for the purpose of statecraft, administration, polity, economy, and all these things. Nothing was there. Exclusive book was not there. Maybe this exclusive book now it is available. It is there. It is very much there, and they can't deny the existence of this book because the references of this book was there in many places in Indian texts. So because of this reason, they can't deny that there was an Artha Shastra. People were telling, okay, what is Artha Shastra? Nothing is there. They were telling all these days. But here, now the book is there, the book translation is there, and the book is widely acclaimed by scholastic community across the world as a whole. So then now the entire, it is actually a epoch-making event, what we can call, wherein the actually the picture about India has suddenly changed. Because of this reason, history, we used to read history. Vincent Smith and all these persons. Vincent Smith is a person who wrote the history of India first. The Vincent Smith he used to create certain theories, wherein the theories he will be creating a theory. The theory may be having validity or may not be having validity, but still he used to introduce some subject matter, wherein he used to denigrate the greatness of Indians. That was his habit. But still, he accepted Arthashastra. Why Vincent Smith was doing like that? Because this Aryan invasion theory is there. No, that is also he only invented this Aryan invasion theory. Nowhere it is there. No evidence is there. Aryans invaded India like that. He was telling that the Aryans came from Persia, other places. Europeans, they were all Europeans. They came to India and they initially settled in Ganges region, Sindhu region, and then came to Ganges regions. They started writing Vedas or something of that nature. He wanted to write. Basically, he was a Christian, and according to Christian principles, the entire universe was created in 4004 BC or 4000 BC, something of that nature. So he wanted to fit the entire history of India or whatever it may be into the frame of this 4004 onwards only. 4104 or something, some date is there, so around 4000 BC. From that time itself only, he wanted to fit the entire history there only. So because of this reason, he could not go beyond that. So our history goes back to long places. The Sindhu culture and all this culture, Sindhu, the civilization and all these things spread back from 7000 BC onwards. It is there. So our culture, civilization, and all those things were very long back. But Aryan invasion, Aryans coming here and educating us was not there. The very pride of India was actually a subject matter of Vincent Smith, who wanted to destroy it thoroughly from the roots. That was his idea of writing history. While writing history also, the internal, what we can call the agenda was to destroy the Indian pride, to destroy the Indian culture, to destroy the Indian civilization, something of that nature. That was the picture. Because of this reason, they used to introduce this Aryan civilization, Aryan invasions, and all these things. And unfortunately, some of the Indian scholars followed him, and subsequently they were actually taking some bribes and all these from different parts of England. And those persons were again writing histories again, Rumila Thapar, India, and all these persons started writing histories, and they just like that they took whatever that has been written by Vincent Smith, and then they were telling that it is actually Aryan invasion only. When we read Indian history, in those books also it is written as Aryan invasion only. But no, we were reading like that. Even now also very persons who are my age maybe, those persons who have read Indian history, they were still believing that it is maybe unless they have updated their knowledge, they are still believing that it is Aryan invasion was there and Aryans came from Persia and other parts of Greece, other areas, and they actually civilized India like that. It's not like that. Jawaharlal Nehru in his what is called a glimpses of world history and other places also he has mentioned Aryan invasion. We know all this is because the people Nehru and you know about him. He has written this book also. Even those books also he has mentioned about these things only. So these are what happened is Arthashastra at least it has broken that what we can call the thinking of some aspects of European scholars. So in that way, Arthashastra was great. Arthashastra as itself is a great, but actually when the time of its coming out of this textbook is also still great because it has destroyed certain presumptions which were made by assumptions or presumptions made by European scholars and denigrating the history of India that was actually dispelled at that time. This was one of the aspects of one of the importance of this Arthashastra. But here, once we discussed the origin of Arthashastra and all these things, let us come to Arthashastra. Arthashastra, normally Indian knowledge system, if you begin to see, we are having two types of what is called books, two types of in Vedic literature. We come across what is called Vedic literature and Laukika literature. These are the two type of things. Sanskrit literature, if you take into consideration, it can be broadly classified into two areas. One is called Vedic literature is one aspect, and second this is Laukika. Vedic literature means Vedas, Vedangas, Puranas, Itihasas, and all those things, subject matters, Smritis, and all these things come under the section of Vedangas, Vedic literature. The Laukika literature, Kautilya Saptashastra belong to say this what is called Laukika aspect, Vivekamanda Niti Shastra, Vatsyayana Kama Shastra, and all these things are actually this period. This is called this Laukika literature. In Laukika literature and Vedic literature, these are the two aspects of Sanskrit literature. This belongs to the second category. And you believe it or not, from that time onwards, maybe the book has emerged from that time onwards, people started seeing two books, basically two books actually guided the destiny of subsequent literature. One is Arthashastra of Kautilya. Second thing is Vatsyayana Kama Sutras. Both are very, very important texts. Vatsyayana Kama Sutras, as we believe, some people normally believe that it is actually related to sexual orientation, sex. It is not like that. It is also having a lot of knowledge systems. If at all the book is that is also introduced for this course, maybe that is Veda Samskruti Samiti. If they think of that aspect also, maybe that is a great test containing a lot of insights. It is that is also a subject matter for discussion because all people should know what is written down in Vatsyayana Kama Sutras. Here and there, here people will be reading some references, and subsequently people will be thinking that all this is only not like that. Vatsyayana Kama Sutra is a great text that is also to be read. So here, this is a literature aspect. This Kautilya Sarthashastra, what else is to be read? If at all anybody wants to read Kautilya Sarthashastra, Shyam Shastri's Kautilya Sarthashastra is great. And maybe the second book, which is more important, maybe it is written by one person by Kangle. Kangle is a professor of Germany. That person visited India, and in maybe 1927 or something like that, in the second or third decades of 19th and 20th century itself, he translated. He took Kautilya Sarthashastra written by Shyam Shastri, and also some other manuscripts which he got himself, because he is an administrator from England. When he came here, he was also wanted to read many things like that, and he also, what he did, he also wrote one book, Arthashastra, Kangle's Arthashastra. It is actually a commentary also, it is there. The commentary also great importance we are having. That book is also one of the great books. I am not having the textbooks. Then now we can call the other books which we can have is something of that nature. Maybe people of Telugu, if we want to read it, because I am a Telugu person, there is one great book written by Pulala Ramachandra. The text is called Arthashastram, Kautiliyam, Andhra Vyakya Balanandini, like that it is there. This is one more book. This is also a great book. In this, he has given word-to-word meaning also, he has given for Kautilya Sarthashastra. And he has discussed some aspects of Kautilya Sarthashastra. Tikas were there, many tikas. And the tikas, some tikas also he has referred here. And then the tika means it is called Bhashyam, what we can call maybe. And that is also he has written. This is also a good book. Those who can't, because a book, English book, normally we don't cherish to read it, because in native language we will be understanding it much more better. If at all any Telugu speaking person is there here, he can read this Kautilya Sarthashastra straight away instead of going for Kautilya Sarthashastra by Shyam Shastri. So here, this is what are the famous commentaries? Means we are having some famous commentaries on Arthashastra. One is called Jayamangala. One commentary is there. It is also available. Amazon also it is available. It is actually a Sanskrit text translated into Hindi. Hindi Sanskrit people who know this subject matter, they can read this Jayamangala commentary written by Shankararya, one gentleman in 800 BC, something of 800 AD, something of that nature. Maybe 9th century or 8th century ending or 9th century beginning, like that. He has written one commentary on Kautilya Sarthashastra, because Kautilya Sarthashastra, the terminology, the Sanskrit also, whatever Sanskrit, people who are the Sanskrit scholars also, sometimes what will happen in the old Sanskrit, sometimes it is difficult to understand. Maybe Manushyanam Vrittihi Artha, like that, when he writes, Vritti means something different from present day scholars, maybe at that time, something different, maybe the meaning may be something different of that nature. So the way commentary is important, Jayamangala commentary. Then Chanakya Tika, then one more commentary, it is written by, that is called Bichu Prabhumati, somebody like that. Bichu Prabhumati, like that, one gentleman, one person has written this commentary on Chanakya Tika. It is some adhyayas only it is available, not for all adhyayas. Then Pratipad Panchika, one more book is there, Pratipad Panchika. That is also Bhattaswami. He has written this commentary. He has written, and there is called one more tika. What is called, the tika is called Shri Madhva Yajva Mishra. Shri Madhva Yajva Mishra, like that one person. He has written some commentary. He has written. And recently, not recently, maybe 50, 60 years back, one person by name Vishwanatha Shastri, he has taken all these commentaries together and studied all the commentaries, and incorporating all these commentaries, he has come out one more book, Vishwanatha Shastri, Kautilya Sarthashastra Bhashyam, something of that nature. If you search in Google, you can find this book also. Vishwanatha Shastri, one person, he has written all the tikas he has taken out, and wherever conflicting opinions are there, this he has ironed out and he has written out. He has come out with one more book, which is called, one more commentary of Vishwanatha Shastri, like this it is there. This is how there are for reading the text of this Kautilya Sarthashastra, many things are there. And now if you begin to read YouTube lectures and something of that nature, you come across many persons have given YouTube lectures. Some persons are qualified, some persons are not great, so qualified. Still, many persons just read the commentaries, what is called, just read English translations here and there, and they started giving lectures because Kautilya Saptasastra is very famous. Maybe this is the subject matter for BAS political science, MA political science, MA political administration, and also you believe it or not, it is one of the papers for what we call UPSC people, Union Public Service Commission. So if you go to Union Public Service Commission site and also some areas, the people, many people will be giving what is called tuition for UPSC aspiring candidates also. An academy is there, Byju's is there, and then we are having house tutorials are there. Wherever you go and type something like that, Kautilya Saptasastra, we come across those people writing certain portions of Kautilya Saptasastra. And here and there, and the people have given a lot of things they have given. Maybe I feel that many persons have not did the original test, or maybe some scholars might have written, but this is notes that whatever that is available in Google and other places. Many persons only just like that, whatever that has been written by some scholars, like that they have taken out. So whenever people tell, whenever any matter or subject matter goes from one year to other year, what will happen is that there is some distortion will be there. So ultimately, what has been conveyed in the original text is totally perverted like that. It is actually like that. Suppose if I tell something to you, same thing you are going to tell some other person, some deviation will be there. And here again he goes to some other person, some other maybe some new interpretation or something of that nature will be there like that. When it spreads to 5 or 6 persons, by the time original content is distorted. This is common knowledge for all people. So that aspect we have to take into consideration while reading these translations and all these things. That is one of the appeals. Then, as I discussed earlier, this Arthashastra discusses political economy, trade, commerce, statecraft, economic policy, military strategy, and like this. And what is the structure of this book? The Kautilya Arthashastra, if you begin to see, it is consisting of 15 adhikaranas. He has mentioned it as adhikaranas. Normally, it is adhyayas will be there normally other places. But yeah, and under Adhyayas Adhikaranas will be there normally. That is the habit in many Sanskrit text. But here he has given it as the main heading is Adhikarana, and Adhikarana, it is actually like a Mahabharata Parvas, something of that nature. Each person will be giving one name, Adhikarana. One Adhikarana is there. 15 Adhikaranas or books are there. 15, not 15 books as such. Single book only. It is consisting of 15 Adhikaranas. Then in all Adhikaranas put together, there are 150 Adhyayas are there. 150 Adhyayas are there. And then there is again, there are chapters. There is called 180 chapters all put together. And then consisting of around 6,000 shlokas. 6,000 shlokas means here, most of the text Arthashastra is actually written down in prose also it is written down. The number of words if you begin to count, and then the number of words in each stanza of the shloka, something of that nature. If this is also converted into shloka aspect, then how many shlokas will be there? Like that people have calculated. And the scholars have come out with the conclusion that there are 6,000 shlokas. You can call it as 6,000 shloka grantha. So 6,000 shlokas are there, 15 adhikaranas are there, 150 adhyayas are there, and 180 chapters are there in the text. It is basically it is again some divisions are there here. National security issues are there in one area. Administration of justice is there in one area. Economics involving developmental activities, welfare activities, and all these things are there in some other area. Like that, it is called. All these things are there in Kautilya Arthashastra. Then time I will see just what is the time. 7:28. I think I have some more time, no? 7:30. Another 5 minutes at least I will take. So here Then like this is the structure. Commentaries I have told, the books which we have to read I have told, and Adhikaranas and all these things I have told. The subject matter for the Shastra I told, Manushyana Vrutti Artha, like that I told. Then what are these 15 Adhikaranas consist of? Like that basic broadly I will be telling. With that I can conclude today's lecture. And here the first Adhikarana is called, Adhikarana is called, because this is actually in Sanskrit terminology is also there, and also it is something sometimes difficult to remember immediately. Vinayadhikaranam is there. So Vinayadhikaranam is the first Adhikarana. Vinayadhikaranam, it is considered Vinaya here. The definition of Vinaya that is given by Kautilya is actually Vinaya means it is a training like that. The training of the king, training how it should be like that. He will be writing, he will be starting this Artha Shastra with Namah Shukra Bruhaspati Bhyam, like that he starts. He starts this Artha Shastra with Namah Shukra Bruhaspati Bhyam, like that. But he is saluting that Shukra and also Bruhaspati, that is called the Gurus of Asuras and also Devatas, like that. He starts like that. Vinayadikaranam, it will be discussing what are the subject matters the king has to read, like that. Then he will be mentioning Anvichaki, Trayi, all this, what is Anvichaki, Trayi and all these things from tomorrow's lecture I will be telling. Anvichaki, Trayi, Varta, Dandaniti, like that. This is called, in those days people used to read Anvichaki, Trayi, Varta, Dandaniti, like that. These are the subject matters of for reading. And then the king, what he should be. Once the training is over, he will be selected. Then he will be going for, he will be becoming the king. Before he becoming the king, he has to have what is called the contact with the aged people. Vruddha Samyogam, one adhyaya, one chapter is there, Vruddha Samyogam. And he has to meet those persons, how he has to be with those persons, how he has to understand things with those persons. Then the same Adhikarana, Vinayadhikaranam itself, that is called the first book only, he will be discussing about how these Amatyas are to be selected, what would be their qualifications and all these things. Then whether he should be a native of this country or some other country, something of that nature. What are the things which he should have that knowledge and all these things he has discussed. Then the second Adhikaranam, if you come, he has also discussed in the same subject, he will be discussing about the envoys, the ambassadors to different countries. What are their qualifications? What would be their qualifications? And what are the king's actual prime duty? What is the prime duty of the king? Those type of things concerning discipline and all these things. He will be discussing in Vinayadhikaranam. The second aspect is what we can call second Adhikarana is called Janapada Nivesham. Janapada Nivesham is actually Janapada as a subject, as we know it is called concerning the Janapada. Here the meaning is both Jana and also Janapada, the area, the population and territory both are taken into consideration for Janapada. So construction of villages, how villages are to be constructed, how bridges are to be constructed, how what are the welfare activities are to be taken by the king, and how he should treat the elders, destitute persons, all people who are discarded people, those persons, so how he has to treat. And then how he has to construct the Durgam. Durgam is a fort and all this. Fort, not here. Here, these things only, second things, these type of things he discussed. Bhumi Chidra Vidhanam, like that it is there. That is called how the land has to be delineated. Some land is to be delineated for the purpose of Pashugrasa, like that he mentions. Pashugrasa means the fodder for the animals. How it has to be given. How many acres of land has to be delineated for that purpose. How many acres of land is to be delineated for the purpose of Vedic scholars only, not for all Brahmins. Vedic scholars who are indulged in or always reading Vedas and all these persons. What is the land that has to be delineated? And what is the land that has to be delineated for the purpose of king's purpose? And how much land he has to cultivate in each and every village? Something of that nature is also discussed in the Kautilya Sapta Shastra, which means that he is giving importance to all areas. And people who are reading, studying, and also encouraging those type of persons is called scholastic community. They will not be doing any other activity. They are actually the likewise now what we can call software persons. Maybe they will be designing the software for the entire country, administration and all these things. Those type of persons are very important persons. Not like that Brahmins are given more importance. It is not like that. The persons who are doing this type of activity, give them support. So some land is to be delineated for their purpose. Then of course Durga is also here only. Durga, how Durga has to be constructed. Janapada Nivasa. Durga means fort. What are the different types of Durga he has mentioned? Is Jala Durga, Parvata Durga, Dhanvana Durga. Dhanvana Durga is a Durga that is constructed in the desert areas. And also Vana Durga. Vana Durga, as we know, it is constructed in the forests and other places. And then all these things he has discussed in this area. And he was also discussing that many aspects anyway we will be discussing. Very important shlokas are there, very interesting shlokas are also there. Wherein one of the shlokas he will be discussing when these persons who are administering this forest durgas, they will be having some contact with the money, dhanam, it will be there. So they will be doing certain, even though a person of integrity is there, he may be indulged in the activity of some sort of taking this what we can call a bribe and all these things. So then he will be telling one very beautiful shloka is there. There he will be telling he will be telling the meaning. If at all poison is there or madhu, that is called what we can call madhu. What is English? Honey.
Honey.
Honey or visham, that is called these two things. If at all it has come to the contact with the edge of the tongue, it will anyway, even if you like it or don't like it, it will go up to deep. Like that, any person who is having some or other contact with the money aspects, he will be in the habit of taking the bribe. He will take some bribe or some, one way or other way, either in cash or kind he will be taking. So like that he discusses. Because of this reason, he wants that there should be a person's spice should be there in order to take care of these persons. Like that he will be mentioning. So very very important aspects, minor aspects also he has discussed. And there he will be discussing about Kosha Pravesha Ratna Pariksha, like that. Koshadhyaksha he mentions. Then he will be mentioning Koshtagara Adhyaksha. Koshtagara Adhyaksha means the different types of grains will be coming into the kingdom and how it has to be measured, how it should be done. Then Panyadhyaksha, and she means a chief supervisor of markets. That is also Panyadhyaksha. Kupyadhyaksha, that is called, he is in charge of the forestry department. Like that, many things he will be discussing in this Adhikarana also. Sunadhyaksha, that is called the person who is in charge of this, what we can call mutton and all these stalls, like that. And Suradhyaksha, we know it, Suradhyaksha. All these persons he will be mentioning. Revenue collector he will be mentioning. Revenue Samaharta, like that he calls him. Nagaraja, the person in charge of the city. This is Janapada Nivesham, no? Like that he will be discussing all these things. The third important Adhikarana, the third Adhikarana is called Dharmasthiyam. Dharmasthiyam means, as the name indicates, it is concerning with law, the marriages, and people, suppose wife is left by the husband, then what she should do, what are the property rights for that lady, and what is the divorce issues, and when she can take a divorce, and then if she takes the divorce, whether she is eligible for the property or not, and this type of things, and that is called civil law and also criminal law, both he has mentioned here. Division of properties and woman property rights, and then what are the things she will be having, at what type of situation she can take divorce. Then she will be telling if the husband is actually a kleba means a person who is an apumsaka nature, then if he is a rajadrohi, or if he is a pranaghataka, or if he is just a continuous paradesha pravasi, like this in these areas, she can as well take divorce. She can take a divorce and she can remarry. That is also there. So divorce is also mentioned, remarriage is also mentioned, division of property is mentioned, and also you will be mentioning certain other areas like if a farmer is there in a village and if he is not cultivating his land, so he should be fined. That is also there. Now it is not their place. What is happening is that most of the lands, many lands, even now also, I will be seeing in the villages, people will be actually people division of property purpose. There will be always fights with their brothers and cousins and all these persons, and nobody is cultivating anything like that. If that is there, they should be fined. If a fine is there, normally these people will either settle the issue or they will make the fine. Fine is also not small. Big fines are there if at all it is not cultivated. That is very important aspect. In the villages also there are certain type of welfare activities will be going on among the villagers itself. If at all any welfare activities is there, donations are to be given by everybody. If anybody is not giving the donation for the common purpose, then he should be fined like that. And one more thing is that if any person is giving some very good advice for the purpose of the development of the village, and if that is not followed by the other villagers, fine has to be imposed for all other villagers like that. So many things he has discussed. These things he has discussed. Then he has also discussed slavery. Slavery means dasavrutti. Slavery means what is called dasavrutti means here, and he is telling that this Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra should not be made slaves. And whom can make slaves? Mlechas. Mlecha persons are actually the persons who have come from Greece and other areas. And those type of persons you can call them mlecha persons. Those persons you can make them slaves. And even then also the slaves are also having certain rights. How to treat those slaves, as is also mentioned, you cannot deviate the dharma. That is also there. Then what we can call suppose marriage has happened, because just like that I am giving a broad introduction only, no, because subsequently we may not read all these things because we will be focusing on certain aspects only. And these things are there. Suppose a marriage happened, and if a father of the bridegroom will not be disclosing certain deficiencies or defects of this particular gentleman, that is called a bridegroom, then what should be done? And he should be imposed a fine. Fine is for throughout his life he has to make the fine. These are the things. Suppose if he is a kleba or if he is an apumsaka, something of that nature, if that is not disclosed, he should be fined. That is also there. And then yes, so India was also mentioning in the time that if a property is there in the hands of some person for continuously for 10 years, it becomes his property. All these things he has mentioned. Many things are mentioned. These type of things he has mentioned this in this area. And the fourth adhikarana is what we can call kantaka shodhanam, which is called the removal of the thorns. There are many things which will be cropping up in the area, which are actually impediments or disturbances for the king, for the proper administration of the nature. There are some plots will be there. There are some people who wanted to destroy the kingdom. There are some people. There are the divisive forces will be there. And these type of things, how to manage these type of persons. And this type of, there are some persons who will be taking in the habit of taking bribery, doing what is called deceiving the people, those type of persons. Deceiving the people, Kautilya goes to the extent of saying this what is called persons who cleans and washes the clothes of the people. That is called dhobi, what we can call. The dhobis will be doing the mosas, and the other persons who were doing traders, then these type of persons also. There's then the suvarnakaras, persons who are making the gold, the lohakaras, then the doctors. These type of persons also. Suppose for example, doctors are there. These persons, if at all any serious cases coming up to him, before giving medicine, he has to give the medicine. At the same time, he has to inform the seriousness of that particular disease to the state also he has to give. If he administers any medicine which is conflicting to the nature of that area, then he also should be punished like that. So there is nobody is left out by Kautilya's Arthashastra. Then if anybody does Stree Manabhangam means if anybody commits rape and this type of activities, so what type of shiksha has to be given? Angachedam has to be done for that gentleman. That is how it immediately should be done. There cannot be any deviation from the rule, something of that nature. Antahpura Dushanam, somebody is going to blame the Antahpuram, or somebody is going to blame the king. What are the activities should be taken? That is also mentioned here. This type of, that is called criminal law and also civil law. Both are discussed in this in Yoga Vruttam, that is the fifth chapter. Fourth chapter. Then the fifth chapter we come across is called fifth chapter is called Yoga Vruttam. Yoga Vruttam means here the conduct of different courtiers, ministers, how they have to function, the management, administrative people, how they have to function, what are their salaries, these type of things. Then there are certain people are to be given certain amounts of money. Suppose Rajamata is there. She, for preserving what is called, for maintaining her own self, something of that nature, she has to be given some money. Then the wife of the king, and that person, how much she has to get. And the king's son is there, how much he has to get. The mantri is there, how much he has to get. Amatya is there, how much he has to get. These type of things, everything he has mentioned this Yoga Vruttam. This is the fifth one. The sixth Adhikarana, what we can call Mandala Yoni Adhikaranam. This is called, he will be discussing about Mandala theory. This is actually a famous theory which is there for UPSC people, Union Public Service Commission people also will be writing Mandal theory. The Kautilya's Arthashastra means anybody who is giving a lecture on Kautilya's Arthashastra will be normally discussing this Mandal theory also will be discussing. Mandal theory is invariably, it will be there in all YouTube lectures, Mandal theory. That is called actually, Mandal theory means it is a source of sovereign authority, sovereign states. How the king is actually pervaded by, or he will be having other kings, who is a Mitra, who is a Mitra, who is Hari Mitra, who is there. The theory, there is some theory is there. One day I will be discussing this Mandala theory only, because it's a very important aspect of Kautilya's Arthashastra. So Mandala Yoni theory, like that it is there. Then the next chapter itself is called, the next Adhikaranam, what we can call is called Shadgunyadhikaranam. Shadgunya, Shadgunas. Shadgunas you will be discussing. One is called Sandhi, Vigraha, Asana, Yana, Samshaya, Dvaidi Bhava, like that. What are all those things we will be discussing one day? Exclusively we will be discussing this Shadgunyadhikaranam. So here, if at all a king is a how his treatment with the other kings, how he should actually treat the other king. What are these the kings? Then if at all a war is there, how a king has to behave with other king. It is it Sandhi, Vigraha, Asana, Yana, Samshaya, Dvaidi Bhava, what it should be there. What are all these things we will be discussing anyway. In some other day we will be discussing. This is called Shadgunyadhikaranam. This is called the seventh chapter. And the eighth chapter is called Vyasanadhikarikam. Vyasanadhikarikam. Here he will be discussing different vyasanas of the king, the different vyasanas of the ministers, then concerning the vices, the calamities which will be coming suddenly. What are the calamities that will be coming? That he will be discussing calamity. He discuss it as a pedana. He will be telling calamities due to war, calamities due to fire, calamities due to earthquake, how it should be dealt with. This is what we can call disaster management issues, present day terminology. Then Kosha Sangha Varga, here some people will not be paying the taxes. Then it will be a dent on the Kosha, that is a treasury. Then how it should be treated, what type of punishment should be given. This type of things are discussed in this adhyaya, Vyasanadhikarikam. This is called the 8th adhyaya. The 9th adhyaya, Abhyasyat karma, like that it is mentioned, which means that actually he defines it as things that are to be taken care of by this Vijigishu. Vijigishu means the person who is in the having that Jigisha, means he is having that interest to conquer other countries. That person, how he has to, what are the things that he has to take care of in order to wage a war. Before waging a war, or before going for a conquest, what are the things he has to take into account? What is his strengths? What are his strengths? What are his weaknesses? Mulabalam, what you can call strengths, he called it as a Mulabalam, that is called standing army. What is standing army? He is having Prutaka Balam, that is called, what is Balam, what is army strength he is having. For whom he is giving salaries and other things, are some land was not being given in those days. What is the things that are being given at that time? What is salary that is being given to these persons? That is called Prutaka Balam. those persons. Sreni balam means different srenis. Srenis means traders will be there. Traders will be having certain communities will be there. Trader communities also will be maintaining their army. The army, how much army that army he is having. Mitra balam, how many friends he was having around his area. Shetru balam, what is the strength of the strength? This is called strengths. Then what are his weaknesses also he will be taken. He has to take into consideration whether Durga there is any in his Durga any vacuum is there or anything deficiency is there. And he will be mentioning when good aspect is there. Suchi mukha yanartaha iti loka pravadaha. Normally people will be telling is that initial adversities will be like Suchi mukha. Suchi mukha means like a pin is there the pin the hole in the small pin how it will be there it will be very small one suchi mukha like that it will be there but it will engulf in such a phase it will go envelop into such a phase that it will be very big after some time so this is what he will be mentioning suchi mukha hyanartaha iti loka pravadaha but initially they will be very small but over a period of time it will become very big so those things also he has to take into consideration and the strengths of his people if people are having what is called dampikatvam is there karunyam is there kopa is there what are the type of people he was having in this country these type of things are also he has to take into consideration this is called what we can call strengths weaknesses analysis that is discussed in this adhikarana and then the next adhikarana is called 10th adhikarana is called sangramika adhikarana sangramika adhikarana means what are the things that he has to take along with his army when taking a conquest. Then he has to take his sainyam. Sainyam means the soldiers he has to take. Along with the soldiers, what else he has to take? He has to take the vaidyas, that is called doctors he has to take. And then in order to give some entertainment for these people, Sainikas, some girls also are to be taken into consideration. And then how these vyuhas are to be done. All these things are discussed in Sangramik Adhikaranam. So he has not left any aspect. Even in cricket also cheer girls are there nowadays. Like that, in those days when conquest is going on, for the entertaining the soldiers in the evenings, there should be some girl should be there, something of that nature. Those persons also to be accompanied for the battlefield. So he has not left any single aspect. He has mentioned whatever that is there, everything he has mentioned. This is called a Sangramik Adhikarana relating to war, different formations of yuhas and all these things about Prativyuhas, what are to be done. These are things are discussed in Sangradika. Then the 11th one is called 11th one is called Sangramikadikaram. So 11th the thing he has mentioned as Ganatantra Rajas. Ganatantra Rajas means independent entities will be there here and there near to the kingdom. Those persons, how we should deal with those persons? What are the things he has to take from those persons? That is called all those persons are to be united at the time of the conquest. Small things also. Those type of things it is also discussed. In the 12th Adhikarana, we come across Abaliya Sadhikaranam. If the king is Abaliya Sadhikaranam, Abaliya, if his king is actually not competent enough to wage a war with other persons, then what are the things he has to he has to do in order to destroy the Setru Hari? Then here he will be telling that he has to do certain activities whereby the kingdom has to be destroyed maybe like what Pakistan was doing with India all these days, creating internal complications here, or creating communal tensions here, or creating some other problems here, or terrorist activities they will be indulging. These type of activities should be done by Abaliya King. Abaliya King, the person who is not having the bala to face the other king in the battlefield at that time, but still he wanted to destroy the Setru. Then what he has to do? Abaliya king, what he has to do? Abaliya Sadhikaranam, like that he will be mentioning. He will be mentioning that he has to send some persons into the Setru Rajya, that is called Ari Rajya, there wherein he has to put Shastra, Agni, Rasa, Purita, Visha, like that he will be mentioning. Visha means that is called poison. Poison with Shastras, poison with Agni, poison with Rasa Dhatus and all these things he has to do. All those activities and he has to create some what is called some sort of pell-mell condition in the country, whereby people are actually debilitated, whereby he has to destroy the country. This is called Abaliya Sadhikaranam, which is mentioned in the 12th Adhikaranam. Then the 4th, then 13th Adhikaranam, he will be mentioning about Durga Lambhopayam, how to conquer the Durga of other persons. When Durga means the fort of other persons. Then he has, what are the activities he has to do? This type of things also he has mentioned in Durga Lambhopayam. This is 13th Adhikaranam. The 14th Adhikaranam, he will be discussing Upanishadikam. Upanishadikam means and Upanishadikam, it is name itself indicates it is he has to discover what we can call certain Aushadha Prayogam means winning the enemy with the help of mantra. Winning the enemy with the help of Aushadha Prayoga. Aushadha Prayogas, they used to be there in the previous years, but in some chapters of Artha, we come across areas wherein the queen has destroyed the king by means of his Anguliyakam. Anguliyakam means a ring that she was wearing, that ring. In that ring, there is some poison. She used to have that ring and she used to give that ring to the king, and the king will be dying after some time, something of that nature. And in this hair plate also, she used to keep on some sort of golden one. That also, with that also, she has to take. She can kill the king. Or the different golden aspects also, they will be wearing with those things. King used to be killed like that. So these type of persons are to be introduced in the Shatru countries, wherein they will be going there, and then nowadays what we can call honey trapping, what we can call, they go there, they actually attract the attention of the king, go there inside, and then they have to kill the king, something of that nature. This is called Upanishadikam, like that he has to destroy the king. The Abaliya king has to do all these activities. So these type of things also it is discussed in and many Aushadas also, the preparation of Aushadas, how it should be there, and all these things are also there in Kautilya Sattashastra. The last one is Tantra Yukti. Then the summary of all the previous chapters he has mentioned like that. Like that, the Kautilya Sattashastra come to an end. And this is basically a test. The main objective of this test is to establish a powerful king. Powerful king should be there at the helm of affairs, and he has to take care of the people's people aspects and all these things. At the same time, he cannot be a despot, because he has to take care of the people. Dharma, according to dharma, he cannot deviate dharma. And there is one great shloka is there. Praja sukhe sukham rajnaha prajanancha hite hitam. Na atma priyam hitam rajnaha prajanam tu priyam hitam, like that it tells. So whatever is sukha for him is not important. Praja sukhe sukham rajnaha. Prajanancha hite hitam. So prajas hitam is more important for him. Na atma priyam hitam rajnaha. Whatever priyam for him is not important. He whenever king is there, whatever activity he is doing, that entire thing is for the purpose of the state only. He cannot be going to abroad, and he cannot, for his own name and fame, he cannot give out some portions of our land to some other king, or he cannot invite some other king to come here and do certain bad activities for his own prestige, power, and all these things. It is not like that. Ultimately, the foreign policy is an extension of internal policy. That is what Kautilya tells here. That is what nowadays diplomacy is there. Diplomacy, whatever diplomacy is there, if at all a country is there, it is an internal administration extended to outside. That is how foreign policy is defined. So
Excuse
here also
me.
he discusses all these things he will be discussing.
Excuse me,
So
Nagaraja
basically,
garu.
the purpose is like this. With this, I will be concluding my lecture, and then maybe I think I have exceeded my limit also. Maybe 7.
Yeah, it's almost 8 o'clock. Now we'll have to go for
Almost 8
Prarthana.
o'clock, we may come to an end. We will come to an end then maybe.
Okay. Babu garu, for Prarthana, please.
Okay. Dhanyavadam, Nandi. It's a very good introduction to Arthashastra. Is eye-opening for most of us. Those who are not gone through that political science subject. Thank you so much. Now let's go for ప్రార్థన స్వయం జయశ్రీ గారు.
स्वस्ति प्रजाभ्यः परिपालयन्तां न्यायेन मार्गेण महीं महिषाः गोब्राह्मणेभ्यः शुभमस्तु नित्यं लोकाः समस्ताः सुखिनो भवन्तु काले वर्षतु पर्जन्यः पृथिवी सस्यशालिनी देशोऽयं क्षोभरहितो ब्राह्मणाः सन्तु निर्भयाः अपुत्राः पुत्रिणः सन्तु पुत्रिणः सन्तु पौत्रिणः अधनाः सधनाः सन्तु जीवन्तु शरदां शतं सत्यं वद धर्मं चर स्वाध्यायान् मा प्रमदः सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत् ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः सर्वे जनाः सुखिनो भवन्तु समस्तसन्मङ्गलानि सन्तु स्वस्ति हरि ओम् श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः
స్వస్తి. ధన్యవాదములండి.
ధన్యవాదాలు సార్.
నౌ లెట్స్ గో ఫర్ జనగణమన. చల్లా చిట్టిబాబు గారు ప్లీజ్.
जनगणमन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंधु गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल बंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्छल जलधि तरंगा तब शुभ नामे जागे तब शुभ आशीष मांगे गाहे तब जय गाथा जनगण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे जय हिंद जय हिंद.
ధన్యవాదములండి చల్లా చిట్టిబాబు గారు. లెట్స్ గో ఫర్ క్వశ్చన్ ఆన్సర్ సెషన్.
Yeah, there is one question in the chat box. Is Arthashastra a Upaveda? Is it a commentary on Arthashastra, one of the Purusharthas, four goals of human life?
So this is actually Arthashastra. Kautilya as such is not Upaveda, but Upavedas, I think we are having four Upavedas. One is called Ayurveda, dealing with medicine. Dhanurveda is there, which is dealing with archery and all these things. And we are having Gandharva Veda, relating to music, dance and all these things. And the fourth Upaveda is Arthashastra, it is mentioned, but Arthashastra means in this aspect it is mentioned as relating to Artha, that is called, as normally we used to understand that economics associated with what we can call Atharva Veda. Atharva Veda, I have not read Atharva Veda, but only some here and there only I have seen the commentaries and all these things. Atharva Veda, it is said that the aspect of Artha is mentioned here. That aspect has been taken as Upaveda of what is called, that is actually called Upaveda. Not this Kautilya's Arthashastra. Kautilya's Arthashastra is also dealing with the same subject, of course, same matters are there. So this also can be considered, but this is not, this text itself is not considered as Upaveda. That is sure. This is not Upaveda. The Arthashastram is Upaveda. Arthashastra is a name. Arthashastra means any subject matter that is dealing with Artham, that is called money. But here Artham is defined in a different way. So this Arthashastram cannot be called as Upaveda. But Artha Shastra, that is any matter dealing with Artha which is associated with Atharva Veda can be called as Upaveda. That is what I feel. Maybe correct or not. Maybe it may be broadly correct.
So the other question is, what is the Adhikarana which is related to law?
Yoga Vruttam, something I told myself 1 minute. Because the names, all names I too don't remember. 1 minute I will be telling. Here only it is there. Concerning law is Dharmasthiyam. Dharmasthiyam is the thing which related with the law.
Okay. Is Shyam Shastri mentioned same one of the musical entity? Shyam Shastri musical, maybe he is associated with music also.
Yes, sir. In Kannada, I was reading about Shyam Shastri also. He has written many books in what is called in Kannada literature. Kannada literature, he is a very great scholar. And he has written many books where music also. Yesterday, somebody here also, they were telling that I happened to meet some scholar. He was telling that Shyam Shastri's, he was actually a devotee of Mysore Durga Devi. Mysore Durga Devi is a follower of Chamundi. Chamundi, he was a follower of Chamundi. About Chamundi, he has written many couplets he has mentioned, he has written down like Namacharya, and he has praised the greatness of the Chamundi. And there he was mentioning one aspect. Oh great goddess, please take this pan. After eating the pan, you just spit that pan, at least one drop of it, let it fall on my mouth, on my tongue. If that is sufficient for me, like that he was mentioning, like that he was quoting one Kannada a couplet he was quoting, which I don't remember. And yesterday only he was telling, that one scholar was telling. That is to that extent he was a scholar. So he must have written in Sanskrit. In Kannada he has written many things. That is sure.
Okay, why Kautilya is called Chanakya also?
There are two reasons, sir. One is called his father name is Chanaka. Somewhere, some places it is mentioned. That is why he is called Chanakya. Kautilya, na? You are asking about
Yeah,
Kautilya.
Kautilya.
Okay, Kautilya. Kautilya is actually two aspects are there. Kautilyam, like that Gotra is there. People will be telling. He belongs to that Kautili Gotra. Because of this reason, he is called Kautilya. Some people call. Some people will be telling that it is actually Kutila Niti. Kutila Niti means the Niti that is dealing with. Sometimes in order to destroy adharma, you need to do adharma. Yesterday also we were discussing Mahabharata. Like that, he actually employed that type of statecraft also here and there. In many places he has mentioned those type of things also. Rasa Aushadhi Prayogas and all this is has mentioned. Because of this reason also is called Kautilya. But both are there. In Pulala Ramachandra to test, he has mentioned both things he has mentioned. One thing what he has mentioned is that because he has advocated Kutilaniti is called Kautilya, people tell, and also he belongs to the Gotra, Kautili Gotram. Because of this reason also he is called as Kautilya. Gotra like that.
Okay. Kautilya wrote Arthashastram in Sanskrit in 300 BC. Why is Adam Smith called father of economics, who wrote Wealth of Nations in 1776?
That is only for European scholars have to answer, sir. How can we answer it? Because they were telling the test was not there basically. And the test was here and there, it is mentioned here and there, and the references were there about Arthashastra. But the test was not there. Until 1909 it was there. So naturally, maybe one more aspect is that Smith, whatever he has written, Adam Smith's theory is there. No, it is actually much more bigger book, sir. It is actually, if you see that book, I saw the reference area. I saw this book. 15 or 16 big volumes are there. Very big one. That one. Maybe the US volume, maybe he must have studied much more. I don't know. But we can't compare with Kautilya, or Kautilya cannot be compared with Adam Smith. But Adam Smith is also a great personality. What he has mentioned is also great volume of knowledge, that too in a systematic fashion. He has also written this, and also written in a systematic fashion. But by the time he has written, this book was not available. That may be the reason, we don't know.
Could be. That's the reason. I
Sir,
think. Okay. Padmavati garu, you can unmute and ask. Don't ask for repetition. Don't ask only a question.
అదేనండి అంతే 14th బిట్ అర్థం కాలేదు గురుగారు.
ఏం మేడం?
13th బిట్ దుర్గ లంగోపాయం అని చెప్పారు మీరు గురుగారు. అది కొంచెం మీనింగ్ ఒక్కసారి ఎక్స్ప్లెయిన్ చేస్తారా అండి?
13th మేడం, 1 minute.
అవునండి. నమస్కారం గురుగారు.
నమస్తే మేడం, నమస్తే. ఇక నాకు కూడా కంటిన్యూస్ గా అలవాట్లేదు మేడం. నేను కూడా ఈ కౌటిల్య అర్థశాస్త్రం ఫస్ట్ టైం చెప్తున్నాను నేను కూడా. సో అందువల్ల నేను అన్ని నోటికి గుర్తులేదు.
కానీ ఎకనామిక్స్ చాలా బాగుండేది. మేము బిఎస్సి అయినా కూడా మా పక్కన క్లాస్ లో మల్లేశ్వరి గారు ఎకనామిక్స్ చెప్తుంటే వెళ్ళి కూర్చుని వినేవాళ్ళం అండి దొంగచాటుగా క్లాస్ లో.
సరే మేడం.
13th పాయింట్ కదా?
13th పాయింట్.
అవునండి.
13th వచ్చేసి 13th వచ్చేసి దుర్గలంబ ఉపాయం. That is called what are the strategic means to be employed in order to capture the fortress. That is called Durga. What are the things that he has to do? Durgalamba upaya.
Okay.
Durgalamba upaya, like that it is mentioned.
Yeah. Durgam is fort. How to occupy a fort, maybe.
How to occupy the fort. When particularly when the king is abala, that he is not actually having that strength in order to face the king on face. He cannot face. Thing is that how to destroy the king. Still he wanted to destroy the fort of the Ari Setru. What are the things he has to employ? Here the Kutila Niti he will be mentioning. Durgalambopaya, like that.
Okay.
ధన్యవాదాలు.
Okay, Lakshmi Kanapur garu.
Namaskaram andi Gurugaru.
Namaste madam.
You have explained so well, sir, but I think Chanakya's Arthashastra has included all history and politics, everything. But I have a doubt, like as the historians have mentioned that Indian history, ancient Aryans have come from Central Asia, and Dravidian culture was there. So that means Rama, our Ramayana, Mahabharata, it belongs to Aryan cult or Dravidian cult? I couldn't understand.
Madam, here Arya is one Shabda is there. Madam, that particular word Arya is a Sanskrit word, which means that oh, great man, like that.
Yes,
Arya.
great person.
Even Sita, when Ramayana, in many areas, many places, he will be mentioning King Rama.
Right. Yes, I
Arya,
understand.
Arya, like that. Only he will be mentioning. Which means that he always he will be mentioning like that. Arya Shabda denotes actually like Telugulo manam antam kada Yajamani, like
Yes.
that. They were telling like that only good person, like that. But actually, there is the division of this Arya and Dravida. This aspect has come only from the histories of Europeans. But whenever when they came to India, they wanted to divide the country in whatever form they wanted to divide. They divided according to religion, they divided according to caste, they divided, and at the same time they also wanted to divide the country into two areas. Culture of South India is different, so culture of North India is different, like that, in order to create some sort of animosity between these two areas, madam.
Okay.
What happened is that in the Dravida theory and Aryans, they are there, they have come here and they have given the knowledge. It is not nonsense only, because here also a lot of people, great people were there in those days.
I know.
Not necessarily these persons. Maybe they may not be having the Sanskrit knowledge, but Tamil Nadu and other areas, Tiruvalvar and all these persons were there long back now.
Yes.
And where Silappadikaram and all these things are great tests of Tamil Nadu.
Okay. One more doubt, sir. The like in Chanakya, this thing Arthashastra, you have mentioned about the marriage and marriage laws, widow remarriage and all. Is it only in Chanakya's Arthashastra, or because in our Hindu Shastra and Vedas and all, I don't think this is
Manusmriti itself it is there, but Manusmriti itself there many things are mentioned, madam. Many chapters are
widow
actually,
marriage is there.
Many chapters.
Manusmriti.
They are earmarked. Many chapters are earmarked for this subject. Manusmriti. Manusmriti also original text. If we take out, it is Telugu translations are there, madam. Many translations. Very good books are also there. Those books, if you just like that, because all Manusya Dharma Shastram we cannot read also.
I know,
Whichever
yes.
area we want to read, that area, the intro that is called Vishaya Suchika will be there. No, there we can just see that and go there.
Yeah, okay,
You
okay.
can see, madam. That would be great, madam. That
But
would be-
this widow marriages was introduced only in 17th, 18th centuries, no, sir, during British period. Earlier,
one,
I
madam?
don't think they were
Which
in
one,
I
madam?
mean, during widow marriages and laws of marriage and all.
Widow
They were
marriages,
mentioned.
because widow marriages were not prominent, madam. They were there. They were mentioned in tests also. They were mentioned. Manudharma Smriti also he has mentioned that in certain areas when the husband is not having this
Okay.
activities, he is not good, something of that nature, then he can take a divorce like that. It is mentioned.
So divorce system is there in our Dharma
It is
Shastra.
there, madam. Earlier also it is there, but it is not popular. That is the only
Not prominent and popular.
not
Okay.
prominent and popular. People were not actually following, and maybe the subjugation of
For security of the society, maybe. Yeah.
the society people were not as, even though everything is mentioned there, it is not being followed properly. That is also there. And
Okay.
Manudharma Shastram it is there, and Kautilya's Artha Shastram also we are having this aspect. The
Yeah,
divorce
that is
there.
there. Yeah.
But divorce, what he is mentioning is that once the children are born, there is no divorce.
Acha. Okay.
Until then,
Right.
she will be having the liberty to take divorce, and he also can
Okay.
divorce her. But once
Very good.
he also
Okay.
cannot exceed his limit, and she cannot exceed his limit, her limit, like that it is mentioned.
Okay.
Uh,
Thank you very much, sir. You have explained so very well. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Amar Singh
Dhanyawad.
ji.
Shubhodayam Gunji. Shubhodayam sir. I have a doubt, like in the current world, when the Kautilya wrote the Arthashastra, it was for the king and it was a presidential form of system. Like only one person is going to rule the state or the country. But we are in a democratic country and where people also have something say in the government. So does this Kautilya Shastra will be applicable, or if a person who is a leader and if he goes all these 15 sutras, can he able to rule it, control it, and give the justice? Something, a question which is different from this topic.
Sorry, here what we can say is that the time when the Arthashastra was written was such a period that there is a need for a powerful king should be there. That was the idea. And here also at the time, the kingdom actually, whenever the Indian tests or whatever it say, the Samrat, which means that Samrat means the Samrat is a person who is having authority over the land, pervading from Himalayas to the Kanyakumari, and from east Gujarat to up to Burma area. That area only they have mentioned. Never they mentioned any other areas. Bharata Kandam only they were mentioning. That entire thing he has to be a Samrat. So here also, of course, here also what he has mentioned, Chanukya's Arthashastra also, there is a despotic king will be there at the center. But at the same time, he will be having for supervision of that entire the kingdom itself. There will be Amatyas, Mantris, Purohits, and all these persons, Sainya Dhyaksha, Koshadhyaksha, like that. They will be there. Apart from that, for taking care of the provinces, also mention is there in this Kautilya's Arthashastra. Provinces are there means kings, princes will be sent there, and he will be as good as a despot there, and he will be ruling the country. Something of that nature it is mentioned. Maybe here also like our chief ministers and all these persons. Nowadays we are electing these persons. In those days they were being appointed by the king after seeing the qualifications of these persons only. If at all he is not qualified, Anvichaki, Varta, Trayi, Dandaniti, if he is not there for him, he is not eligible for the ruling the province also. So those type of persons means the person who is actually well trained and who is having that samyoga with Vruddha people, and those type of persons, and he was having satsangatyam and all these things, always accompanied by a mantri and always accompanied by a purohit in the province also. He is also a little as good as a king only. That person can be a despot. At the same time, he will be having an eye on dharma all the time. He cannot deviate the dharma. If he is deviating the dharma, he can be dethroned, like that it is mentioned. He can be actually removed by the despotic king. If the king is not following the rule of law, then what is to be done? The Amatyas can remove him. That is also mentioned. How the king can be killed by the Amatyas, mantris put together, and all this. Then if the king is dying, then it should not be mentioned to the public at all. it should be kept secret for some days, and then until the new king is going to come up. Like that, those many things are mentioned in Kautilya's Arthashastra, of course. But here, democratic system, now we cannot actually reverse it also. There is also there. And one more thing is that nowadays it's freedoms and all these things. We are very much liberal attitudes and all these things have crept into the system now. Western ideas and all this is because of this reason. Maybe in those days people were enjoying the freedoms without having the that is called excessive freedom was not there. Definitely it was not there. It was always checked. But here now we are having some freedom whereby even you can say Jai Pakistan denigrate India. That is also there. To that extent we have gone. The freedom has gone to that extent. If we correct or not, I don't know. People only have to justify. That is
Thank
there.
you, sir. Why I was asking this question because I'm being a lawyer, I'm doing law,
Yes, sir.
learning law. So I was writing an article called Arthashastra in the 21st century.
Yes, sir.
So that was the reason I asked you.
Okay, okay, sir.
Arthashastra in the 21st century. Like now we are
Yes,
in this
yes, that is
century,
great. Great idea only. Yes, sir.
and I'll take your help. I'll take your number because I need some information on this.
Yes, sir.
Thank
Yes,
you.
sir. Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Any other questions?
Yes, sir.
Kyataraju ji? Chapandi. I think you are muted or what? You are not muted also. Your voice is not coming.
Sir, one thing, sir, these questions and answers, if it is also recording portion, it is there, that would be good because we are doing off the line, no? Because this can be done in the morning portion, otherwise something of that nature. That would be good because it will be benefit for all the people.
It is being recorded. Only Janaganamana is meant for the people who want to.
It is being recorded. Still, it is being getting recorded. Okay, I don't know. Okay, sir.
Kyataraj Garu, you have to adjust your mic and then speak.
Tomorrow we can take up the questions, sir, because today we can close.
Okay,
also.
you reserve your question for tomorrow.
That would be better, sir.
So
Because
now,
already it is almost 8 hours. That is why.
now let us close.
It is 8:20, sir, already.
Hmm.
Some other words will be there. We can close, sir. That is better.
Okay, sir. Okay. Thank you so much.
Okay, sir.
Let us close now.
Okay, sir.